And we are live. What is up, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, Jake Friel. Steve Reichel. Wow, I got it right that time. But anyway, got a jam-packed show for you today. Obviously, yesterday with Adam Silver breaking the news that the NBA season will be returning on July 31st, if everything goes as planned, obviously. Then, obviously, the NBA just can't help themselves getting in their own way. So we'll talk about that later. Sports are back in Philadelphia, kind of, where Governor Wolf allowed Philadelphia teams to go to their training facilities and work out. So, bit of a positive direction as far as Philly sports goes. And also, at 7:45, we're going to be interviewing special guest, future UFC Hall of Famer Chris Leben. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
but
definitely, my friend.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. But obviously, before we get into the show, quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Our poll question is also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you. Get yourself 20% off gutter guards, gutter cleaning, deck restoration, anything you need done outside of your house. They got you covered. AmbuckServices.com, AMBUCK Services.com. And obviously, leading up to the poll question, the NBA's late return in July provides a boost for the Sixers. Agree or disagree?
Disagree. I mean, why would it call it a boost? I mean, they weren't really on this really hot roll or anything like that. We were questioning a lot of things about them, from the bench to some of the guys who got in contracts from this team who weren't really delivering. A lot of people are calling for Brett's head, so I can't really see being a boost. The only plus thing you get from it is you get a healthy Ben Simmons. Whatever that means, we'll find out when we get into it. But we didn't do ourselves any favors towards the end of the season. Coronavirus didn't do the Sixers any favors as far as the way it looks like the bracketing and the seeding is going to play out. So I don't see the boost, but let's hope these boys are ready to play, and they got something to prove, because some people in some pockets of Sixers Nation, they believe Brett Brown's livelihood of his job depends on the season. So we'll see how it plays out. You hope it would cause a boost, but me personally, I would have to disagree that. You just think that they're professionals, they're ready to come to play as it is right now.
I think, at least in my opinion, me personally, I agree to the poll. Obviously, you're getting Ben Simmons back, so that's a little bit of an advantage right there. And again, that's really to where I agree to the poll. But again, I think the time off also helps them as far as like adjusting and stuff like that. Now, will we get a better Sixers team with Brett Brown? Probably not, but just to retch out that little bit of hope. But it's also one of those things where whoever wins the championship this year, it's going to have an asterisk next to it. So whether you win it all, or
disagree with that. I have a problem with that. Why? Because we lose a handful of games, because everything's different. So what? We get, it's a different vibe of it. I do subscribe to the fact that there's an asterisk on any season that is continuing. It is a blessing for us at this point in time. It's a blessing for these players, because at the end of the day, they want to perform for us. They want to perform for themselves. They have whatever motivates them at the end of the day. For sitting there, for anyone like Shaquille O'Neal sitting there saying, shame on you, Shaq. How many freaking titles did you win? Did you not play in the strike shortened season at some point in time? So should you not pack it up and go home? I do not subscribe to that in any manner for any sport. I don't even care if collegiate sports figure out something to come back. There's no asterisk, period.
Okay. Fair. But again, I don't think I think it'll help a little bit just getting Ben Simmons back. But I've told people, and Rob Brinkman, who's in the comments, he's been saying forever that he doesn't believe in this Sixers team. And quite frankly, I don't really expect much of a difference aside from the boost of getting Ben Simmons back. Other than that, Brett Brown's still our coach.
That's the only plus. And here's the other thing that you got to think about it. Mike Scott has to come and play.
Not going to happen.
And not just that, you have to get production at the buys. Josh Richardson needs to find himself some type of role in that team, and somebody that best needs to help that team if they plan to get anywhere past the second round, if anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. But it's just, I don't know, not like necessarily a warm feeling, but it gets me excited a little bit that sports are close to coming back. At least basketball or some form of sports are coming back at least relatively soon, theoretically, if everything goes as planned. But again, to be determined. We'll see. I can always see something happening to where they're like, oh, well, we planned for July 31st, but this happened and that happened. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm hoping for July 31st, but again, like I said, we'll see. Um, Obviously, getting into the MLB stuff.
Oh man, I mean, like, yeah, I already touched on them when I was on with Zach
Mhm,
and Mr. Ralphie there. So like,
mhm,
we already touched on that. You need to fix this fast because I'm telling you, you're going to give one of the niche sports
mhm.
exactly what they need. I've already sat there and said you need to watch out because you have one FC. They destroy it overseas. They have better numbers than UFC.
Yep.
Obviously, the UFC, you have the WWE is always lurking around the corner as far as that goes, and not to mention you could have one of the other sports that are already as one as your big fours leapfrogging.
Yep.
I mean, Zach was talking about NASCAR and all that, but you can miss me with all them circle guys.
That's what do you call it? That's Zach's thing. Zach loves
I
NASCAR.
mean, like I said, I'm an old head NASCAR fan. We can talk old school stuff, but like I can't subscribe to it anymore because at the end of the day, it's what we talk about with a lot of these sports. You don't have stars to kind of build it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And the thing is with MLB, just getting off in a slight tangent really quick, you have a lot of stars, but it's just and you guys talked about it like you touched on earlier, you touched on it on Zach's show to where the marketers or just the league in general, they don't know how to market their guys, minus a Mike Trout, the Bryce Harpers of the world. Everyone knows who they are, but there's so many other phenomenal players in the league that nobody knows who they are. It's insane.
But that isn't that the problem anymore? Because like,
Mhm.
regardless if we're talking, any of the major sports and even in this sports, I've hammered the UFC for so many years about it. I mean, look what Invicta's done. They've built. Hey, look at how many stars are in the UFC that came from Invicta Fighting Championship.
Yep.
Like, you have to look at some of these other models of how some of these smaller promotions go about building some of these people up, because that's how you're going to do it. Like you talk about out of Major League Baseball, like try to sit there and name somebody out of Harper, Trout, and your basic guys. You don't.
Right.
That's why like you have these guys have to have their own podcasts and stuff like that to build their platform, because their teams, your leagues that you're going for don't do that. I mean, that's the one thing about the NFL. Like, they have the advantage because they have so many personalities, and they're so much bigger than where baseball used to be, because they killed themselves with that.
Mhm.
Look where they almost like don't even have to try. They can hand pick whoever they want, and you still have guys that should be stars in that league that don't get the love that they should do. They truly deserve.
Mhm. Yeah. No. I completely hear you. It's crazy. But all right, Tom, dude, you're not. I know you. You're not serious.
That's expected.
You're
All
not
right.
serious. He's not serious at all. That's a lie. Stop it.
Screw baseball. Like, come on, we already knew that was coming. I love you.
But obviously, let's get into the comments really quick before we go any further. Um, I'm gonna screw up your name, and I'm sorry about it. Harry Gillum. Your opinion, team to watch when it returns. Talking about basketball.
It has to be the Clippers, right? It has to be the Clippers.
Yeah, but yeah, I think so. I
It's
think
because
so.
of how they. No, it's not because of the Kawhi thing. It's how they were playing, man.
Hmm.
Like they were really like going punch for punch with LeBron and more or less his whole squad. So
Yep.
that was really kind of the matchup to see. Like, as much as we were talking about the last dance. You know how it was in the '90s with the Eastern Conference. That Western Conference should be really fun to watch this year, just because of some of how a lot of those teams are playing. And that's not the knock on the East. The Celtics really haven't been playing to where they should. Like the Raptors, like a lot of people felt they would fall off, but they've kind of stayed on with the way Kyle Lowry is kind of taking the reins of that team too. So
Yep.
you definitely have to look into that. But And obviously we have to deal with Giannis and the Bucks, but you have to say that the Clippers and that Western Conference is literally, it has to be the team to watch right
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't disagree with that personally, obviously, because they're already stacked as it is, and obviously I'm going to get shit for it if I don't appease Ralphie a little bit. But the Lakers are another team. The Lakers are another team again. But the thing is, they were on a hot streak for a little bit. So obviously, with this little situation that we're all going through right now, I don't know if they can keep the fire going. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe the Lakers do continue that hot streak that they were on, and they can carry it to the NBA playoffs. And we would start in the playoffs. Excuse me. But just going through the playoffs and just all the way to a championship, I don't know. But also, like, I'm seeing a couple comments say, like, with like surprise teams. I can see a bunch of surprise teams. I can see Boston getting in there. There's a bunch of teams. Maybe the Rockets, maybe. But I just can't believe in that Harden and Westbrook combination. They don't complement each other. Both of them need the ball, so it's just that won't work long term.
Yeah, I mean, you see that, but like they could still be one of those surprise teams that makes some noise when it comes to the playoffs.
Yep.
They have some kind of like a lot of these teams have time to kind of get a little healthy during this period of time. And actually, I don't know if anyone would like to see this. Wouldn't you like at least, like, since everyone's dry and everything like that, get a 5-day period to see a few roster moves made, maybe make some trades, like just to kind of get some buzz going around the NBA right now would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
I think both of the leagues should do it. I mean, if you're gonna do it, I mean, let's have some fun. Let's really make some buzz around it. I mean, this is what I would do if I'm both the NBA and the NHL right now, just to get some extra buzz going around the playoffs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And also get the teams excited about it.
Yeah.
Kind of like a second trade deadline.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. I like your idea of kind of just getting like a little bit of buzz back in the league. I'm all for it. I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. But who really knows? But it's all about too. I think it's you're gonna see like G League basketball, like with the first game back from a lot of teams. You're gonna see a lot of G League basketball going on. That's
Tommy's upset. It's okay to be a scoring lover, Tom. It's okay. We all get made at our sports from time to time. I was made at MMA for the longest time. I still made about aspects of it because it should be, we should be having more conversations about it on more major media sites. I mean, it's on ESPN right now, and you don't see the kind of getting really any love from anywhere else the way it should.
Yeah,
but it's not because of their own doing. But like we all get upset with it. Like, obviously we've been upset with baseball quite a many times over the past 20, 30 years. That they continually punch themselves in the eye. So obviously we're upset with Major League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly. And to getting back to Rob's comment from earlier about baseball has lost the casual fan, my only rebuttal, not even a rebuttal, my only disagreement with that being, Rob, is that if we don't have a season in 2020,
but here's the
then
thing.
I can definitely agree with that.
We all know everyone knows what baseball is anymore. So you're not the casual fan. That's for steps. We already know the base fans that they go after is basically the family fans. That's what you get for baseball. I mean, you'll obviously have hardcore fans who are hardcore fans, but that's more like you have pockets of that. And then your casual fans are basically your bandwagon fans that jump on during championship runs. Those are your casual fans. That's it.
Yeah. But it's just that now, theoretically, if the MLB were to like subside their season in 2020, I really don't, like, obviously it's not going to be the end of the MLB, but it's just one of those things where I don't know how they can recover from not having a season in 2020. That's how I look at it.
Like I said, if they continue to go the trajectory, I mean, hopefully, we've all kind of seen rumors and rumblings that, like, we're to get it like the first few weeks of July. I already said if they get past to the July 4th week without, spring training already happened, baseball's going, it can't happen.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer what they have to do at this point in time is the problem with the players is kind of games and money. So why don't
Hmm.
we extend it, give them 100 games, work the money out a little bit better, massage it to make it work. We can't, we shouldn't really be having these discussions at that point in time.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
in the CBA next year, but at this point in time, I think you should be giving to the players to make it happen. Because at this point in time, everyone has walked out, and you have to give them their chance.
Yeah, and Prism makes a good point too. The MLB players are going to need to get a second job during the off season. The way the league keeps dumping fans, 94 strike. Yep, Astros scandal, mishandling, and now not willing to take less money to play games. Yeah, no, absolutely. And what were a lot of us like non-Astros fans looking forward to this season? Just just the Astros just getting hit with pitches left and right.
I said it, man. They're gonna get hit. They're gonna have a set of record be getting hit by most pitches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you say, 500 plus?
Probably.
Come on.
It means ejections are going to go up, fights are going to go up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's gonna be fun.
Oh, absolutely. But I don't know. My only thing is like with the time that has passed, I'm not saying people forgot about it, obviously, but I don't know if that like hate and bitterness is still there towards the Astros. You know what I mean?
But in kind of a sense, you kind of get it, but because it's kind of detached a little bit because the season hasn't really started and all that. But
Right.
once they say play ball, it's over. It's over.
Oh
Everyone knows.
yeah. Brinkman says the Indiana Pacers are going to make some noise. Yeah, probably. I think they're definitely another team that could make some noise. Absolutely. Favorite NBA player from the NBA, and ooh, that's a tough one. Now, Harry, are you saying like
You're talking about current NBA?
yeah? Are you talking about like current NBA, or are you talking about like all time?
I mean, I think what Harry's kind of going with here is current NBA, and I'm biased here. I just I know he's probably going to be the odd man out here when everything's said and done if the Sixers don't perform, but. I got made love for JoJo. He just can kind of get how Philly is.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a little too much shack in him where he knows how good he is, and he doesn't put forth all of it. But I think once he kind of gets those conditioning things, I don't know if we can kind of wait for happens. But Joel Embiid, both potential, what he means to basketball in the city right now, and what he could be. If he could stay healthy and put things together with Ben Simmons, we could talk about someone who could have the potential to be top 10 player of all time. But it's really up to him and being able to make things happen for him moving forward.
Yep.
You got
absolutely. I think with me personally, my favorite player right now, not being a homer, and it's not a Sixers player, but I think with me it's Kawhi Leonard, and it's not because of what he did last year with the Raptors. I've been a fan of him since he's been with the Spurs.
Why Kawhi? Like
I just love Kawhi. I just love Kawhi.
He has no personality.
See, like that's where I disagree with it. I feel like he doesn't show it to the public. Like public, he doesn't really care about the media and stuff like that. But I feel like if he's with his group of people,
like you just don't see kind of that like JoJo has it on and off, and he shows his emotions, and I think that's why a lot of people connect with him more.
No, that's fair.
Why I went that way with it.
Okay.
I would go outside of it, like I mean, I haven't like really connected with a player like that since like we had AI like that, and
right.
I mean, there's been other players that I love, but it was also because of my love for their college game, like Grant Hill back in the day.
Yep.
I'm a Duke guy, so like definitely love when we had JJ Redick here, and hopefully before he hangs him up, we can get him back here for one more year. I'd like to see him retire as a Sixer, regardless of what happens with him down in the Pelicans this year.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like how I go about like when I have my favorites with basketball, you have to find your way to have that connection, not just because they're a great player.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair. That's fair.
I used to love the UNLV Devils. Why? Who's the best
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who's the best player that came out of there?
Yeah. You're not wrong.
So, like, you have teams that like you want to pay attention to because where they came from, especially when a lot of us who both follow pro sports and follow the college sports, like that's how most of us formulate our love for players.
Hmm.
Like I had, because of the USC teams from the NCAA, I had love for Matt Lyman. It's a shame he never kind of developed the way he was, but I had love for Reggie Bush.
Yep.
Definitely hated to see him go to like the Saints and them, and when we could have had a guy like him returning kicks for us and making those type of plays for us, but never worked out that way.
Yeah, pretty much. But getting back on the topic, it's just like with the whole MLB situation, just them continuously shooting themselves in the foot. Because there was a report from John Clark earlier this week to where Harper was supposed to get 25, I think, and a half or like 25.6 or something like that. And with the salary restrictions or the salary cut that the players would receive this season, he'd go from making 26, like 25 and a half to I think 6.8, I think it was. Which is an insane difference, but again, it's still $6.8 million that we're talking about. So
Yeah, I mean it's rough when you're seeing these guys are, and that's the big thing about it. They're expecting that they were supposed to get this, and
mhm,
because of now it's kind of reducing what there is.
right.
Not every one of these players are in the level of both Harper and Trout and the guys that are making that big money.
Hmm.
So when you take that away, they need to kind of supplement it elsewhere. What about JT Realmuto? He's in a hell of a situation.
He's still 1 year left on his contract, and he still he still needs a contract, and that adds
And that's why if I'm the Phillies, as soon as this thing gets going and they kind of figure they need to
you
get him,
have to get a deal done. I completely agree.
simple fact that because of everything, he's really getting hammered this year.
Hmm.
You have that is a 100%, like that's one of these things that you have to play into all this.
Yeah. Prism also says I'll take every at bat for the Astros all season long for $6.8 million. Absolutely, but I
Oh
think what
yeah,
it is.
we're talking about we're gonna be getting some broken ribs and stuff like that. Like, I mean, if we're allowed to, if we know every one of them is gonna be a bean, as long as I know if I can like flip sides or whatever, then maybe we can have that discussion.
Right.
No, I'm gonna be switch hitting if I know I'm just taking beans. I'm not
Hmm.
totally taking hacks.
Yeah. But the thing is too that like a lot of people don't, or a good portion of people that don't know, like the casual fans don't know, with the huge price cuts and stuff like that. That's for like the major players. But it's
But it still majorly affects everyone else. And
oh,
how
absolutely it
many
does.
minor leaguers were let go in the past week?
It's like a couple hundred, but they're saying it could be over 1,000 minor league players that end up being cut.
Exactly.
Which,
So maybe some semi-pro teams will have some exciting games this year.
yeah, I think once the MLB kind of starts coming back a little bit, you'll start seeing a lot of these minor leaguers starting to come back and might find new homes elsewhere with different minor league teams, or some might even get call ups if it sticks to like where the players stand, like the Blake Snells and the Bryce Harpers, to where they don't get the money that they're asking for, the money that they were promised, and they sit out, and then you call up another player or whatever have you. So it's still like a fluid situation. We really don't know yet what's the final product is going to become if and when the season actually does start. But it's crazy. A lot of punk talk. But no, playing devil's advocate. Like I get where like the big name players are coming from. You're promised a certain amount of money, and you you lose more than half of it, which I understand. But again, at least how I am, if you love the game of baseball, I say play through it because but at the same time, it is a lot of money. So you can go either way with it. You can go either way, personally, but I really don't know. But with the MLB's whole situation and just how everything's been handled, it's just been a complete and utter disaster
Yeah.
from top to bottom. It's just been a disaster.
Like it's going to be bad, and they're not going to have home court, which has kind of been their saving grace for most of the past few seasons. So
Yeah.
it's going to be rough, and then like we're probably going to draw the Celtics, who are always a slugfest. At that point in time, we'd have been better off drawing the Bucks just because we play them better.
Yeah.
In their building, especially.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's another thing I forgot to bring up. The Sixers home court advantage. That's another thing I forgot to bring up. That'll probably, with no fans, will they be as dominant at home? That raises another question.
I don't think so.
Nope. But it also adds like an interesting perspective too, to where like you'll hear Brett Brown and like other coaches yelling, and you don't kind of get that with like all the fan noise and whatever. So maybe that'll add like another dimension to it.
Yeah, but like the same thing we were talking about with Brian Kelleher about that thing, you'd be able to hear a lot more things, and I think that part of it might be cool. Like you'll have almost that kind of old school, high school gym vibe. That might be cool. You mean you could hear a lot more of the coaches and the players talking to each other and stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of like it just a gym vibe. Like you said,
on the Last Dance here, Michael and whoever going back and forth on the court. It might be a whole lot different when it's now. You can sit there, you're hearing, JoJo sitting there, talking to, whoever, we're playing the Bucks, and it's going to be Giannis, and he's sitting there. Him and Giannis are going back and forth. They got double doubles going on, and you see them running back. It'd be fun.
Oh yeah, I think so. Prism actually has another comment. Owners or MLB should give players a much higher percentage, if not full royalties on jerseys, and print up at least variations of jerseys for every player on 25-man roster, even if it's shirts to sell. No, I hear you. You gotta you gotta pay them somehow. Chrome says, "What's up, fellas? What's up, Chrome?" But it's really going to be interesting to see how the MLB.
Yeah.
Will they continue to screw it up? We'll see. But who knows? Apparently, they're talking about another proposal, but who knows? Who knows whether that's true or not?
They need to get it right, because ain't no there ain't gonna be no steroids, no home run race gonna save you this time.
Yeah.
Nah, it's not gonna happen.
Right.
And like we were already talking about, they don't develop the stars enough to bring the people back. You can only punch yourself in the eye so many times before you ain't gonna be able to see out of it.
Yeah.
Like Michael Bisping.
Yeah. That's actually a really good analogy for people that know that one. But it's really a shame, honestly, just to kind of see how
they've been doing them to themselves for 20 years, man. Like
yeah,
they've been running themselves into the ground for 20 years.
Yep.
Every time that they could get ahead of a situation and it looked better, they always find a way to put themselves down. It's almost the same thing what the NFL has been doing since Roger Goodell took over.
Yeah,
it is what I was talking about when I was on with Zach and then. I mean, like listen, there's a difference between owners who are tough and make things happen. As much as I give him crap, Dana White, he's a guy that isn't just an empty suit or just plays the corporate game.
Yep.
Roger Goodell is spineless. Adam Silver is not an empty suit. He's a guy that talks to his guys and makes things happen and has this positive outlook regardless of sometimes whether we agree some of the states that they take. If you talk to the players of that league, they would say that their guy of all the league owners is the one.
Yep.
So like it's what I talk. If you don't have that strength from up top, it circles down, man. It absolutely circles down.
Yeah, it absolutely circles down. Greg says combat sports coming up huge for.
I'm the MMA guy. I'm gonna absolutely. Greg knows that. Greg's one of my guys behind the scenes that knows what MMA is about. We've been I've been injecting it slowly and surely. UFC is one of the ones I've taken over. I already keep telling you. Watch the guys that want to see. You don't believe? I think Joe Rogan just did an interview on one of his recent podcasts with Brian Callen, and they were talking about ONE FC. There's a reason why Eddie Alvarez went over there and got stopped. Those guys are legit killers that we don't know about. There's a reason why their numbers are higher than the UFC. Not just because of that market. Them guys are legit over there. I mean, like, and not just that, like how they go about, like when they have the situation when the fighter passed away. Look at their weight cutting procedures now. The sport of combat sports and boxing, will always be there. And I still kind of think it's kind of floating between four and five. And as Greg was saying, combat sports, I lump them all together. Both MMA, boxing. I'll throw wrestling in there, both pro wrestling and Olympic wrestling, because it's a combat sport.
Yep.
Regardless if WWE is considered stage as we all know it. It's still entertainment value to us. But those guys still get mad hurt. We all know that. We know that. It's probably the realest, fakest thing you'd ever see.
Are you saying WWE's fake?
Huh?
Are you saying WWE's fake?
No.
It's real to me, damn it. It's real to me. I love that video so much. It's real to me, damn it. But no, Greg, I do agree. Adam Silver does look like an alien. Absolutely.
We have to ask Will Smith.
Yeah. Scientologist extraordinaire. But that's a whole nother topic for a completely different show. But I do want to ask you a question, Steve, as far as, like, obviously I'm not as knowledgeable about the UFC as you are. So obviously you see a bunch of like minor leagues in Major League Baseball and the NBA. You don't see it in the NFL. You see it in the NHL. You have a bunch of minor leagues there. Do you think they should implement a some type of minor league system in the UFC?
I keep telling y'all where I have to learn y'all up. That for the most part there's amateur mixed martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a UFC developed. This is what I talk about it.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
There's so many different promotions. Mm-hmm. A lot of these guys, they're subcontracted employees, so there's no union there. They don't really get paid what they should. Obviously, anyone who's been paying attention to social media the last week and watching what's been going on between Dana White, John Jones, and Francis Ngannou has been just a little tidbit into what goes into some of the stuff that these guys go through. But to answer the question, we have local amateur, minor league MMA. You have promotions that are pro promotions, but they're your double A, triple A, so to speak. It all depends. Some promotions are both pro and amateur shows. You have ones that are pro only.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have ones that are larger promotions that do both pro and amateur. You have your Titan FCs of the world, both here in our backyard in the tri-state area. You have Cage Free Fighting Championship. You have Art of War. You have all your promotions that are just kind of in and out of the area. King of the Cage, who's been a huge feeder league for all the promotions for pretty much since early MMA. A lot of people don't know, like, there's just so much, and then there's so many different aspects of it. You also have both Muay Thai leagues that are into it, which is another discipline inside MMA.
Right.
You have Lion Fight, you have Glory, for where you have exciting matchups in a different way. And then recently, because we're going to get into this in some point in time when we have Chris on, we both have the birth and rebirth of bare knuckle boxing. There's a lot of confusion because there's a bunch of different leagues that are doing it that way. But Nate Feldman here in the area, who used to run XFE, one of these at one of these leagues that you're referring to, that kind of builds up some of these smaller local talents until they get to these bigger shows.
Mm-hmm.
Had a dream and went after it, and Chris has been lucky to been a part of I believe two of the bare knuckle boxing fights up to date, and you're starting to get some noise. You hear rumors of a lot bigger names going to it. We've already had world champion boxers, we've had UFC fighters, you've had veterans, all over of MMA, and we're probably going to see a lot more interesting things. Like we were talking about off the air at some point. You had Jose Canseco asking for a celebrity division, and he's calling out Alex Rodriguez. And obviously everyone knows, the stuff that's been going around since Mike Tyson's kind of been putting some videos of him getting back in shape for whatever, if it is, if it's bare knuckle boxing, if it's a charity event, if it's an amateur exhibition, if it's an actual boxing, whatever it happens to be. I think it's good for everyone right now.
Mm-hmm.
If he's healthy enough and one of these athletic commissions sanctions him and is one of these like-minded things where it's not one of these mismatches, should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
See, and Fury's another one of these guys that as you're talking prison, Fury and Wilder over there. It's Fury's one of these guys who found a way to market himself.
Mm-hmm.
Things that why a lot of people aren't really having in boxing because not a lot of people have the complete tool set in order to be an elite boxer first.
Yep.
For what I also think it's because other combat sports kind of have taken away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that they're just spread over all over it, and that's why I just want combat sports in altogether.
Well, the big thing with that is too. I'll kind of build to your point there, because if you look back in the day when boxing was in its prime, you didn't really hear much about like Muay Thai, Krav Maga, and like a bunch of other mixed martial arts or just in general martial arts disciplines. You had your karate and like your general stuff that like most people know about, but you didn't really hear about, and they didn't really necessarily market all these other types of martial arts. So, like boxing was the big mecca back then. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it was also because at that time, MMA and these other combat sports was still kind of fighting for legitimacy.
Right.
They were still in their infancy. MMA was kind of a thing that was kind of so many different things, and you finally had some of these guys put. I mean, it was a wild circus at the beginning, but
Yep.
we finally got it to what Zuffa, the Fertitta brothers, and Dana White kind of turned it into. So you're a sport that's basically, if you really think about it, now that they have the level of B, you should say that it's only really 10 years old because of it finally kind of being to where it's at.
Being legitimate, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I completely
That's
agree.
not taking anything away from the legends because I have made respect for the men and women of the Wild Wild West that was the early MMA.
Right. Now, kind of just sticking with boxing a little bit. Do you think boxing will get back to like that notoriety to where it was when it was in its prime, or do you think?
I think if some of these stubborn, stuck up old boxing heads would open up to some of the super fights that Conor McGregor has kind of opened the doors that should have been happening between both of the sports all along.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've already seen it beforehand. I touched on it at some point in time before, both with the Randy Couture and James Toney fight. It happened. Kimbo Slice is kind of a crossover from that. He wasn't really an MMA fighter because he was kind of a street fighter, but he also wound up being a boxer at the end, back and forth. Like there should be nothing wrong with these fighters, point blank and period, being able to kind of bounce back and forth between sport to sport. I understand what the UFC does to their fighters because that's their fighters and that's how they work out business. But I think that you should, some of these Muay Thai fighters going into boxing and boxers we've seen it. Both Holly Holm is probably the more notable one who was a top level boxer and came over and done what she's done in the UFC.
Yep.
But you had other ones that were world the Golden Gloves champions when they were younger, but they just transitioned over. So like you have guys who have really good striking, but they've also developed the rest of their martial arts to it. Like a lot of people, Joe Rogan was legitimately scheduled to fight Wesley Snipes at one point in time, like way back then, because anyone who watches old Rogan stand up, so like there's people who were doing things that you should be able to have some of the stuff that is at the end of the day entertainment for combat sports fans, entertainment for sports fans in general.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's a freak show. It's a freak show. It's only a freak show if it really doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
When you're talking about some of the stuff when you're seeing like a 155-pound fighter, and he's going against a guy who's pushing the the super heavyweight limit. Those.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it's one of those things now to where UFC is just such a prevalent sport, and it's so big right now. Obviously, Dana White being the marketer that he is, getting all these super fights, and just obviously with the Ultimate Fighter, and we're going to talk to Chris Leben about it in a little bit. So it's just crazy to see to where UFC kind of started, where you didn't have weight classes and stuff like that, to where you had like a 150-pound guy fighting a like 275-pound guy and all that craziness. But now like that it's regulated and whatever and all that stuff. But without further ado, he's a little bit early. I'd like to introduce special guest, future UFC Hall of Famer, Chris Leben. What's up, Chris?
Hey, what up? What up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on. What are you just chilling in your car?
Well, yeah, I was running around, and then I tried to pull over, but I didn't have bars, so I had to keep driving until my bars filled up. So can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, good.
How have you been doing through the whole Corona situation? How have you been dealing with it?
I mean, it sucks. You know, I'm glad it's kind of coming to an end. They're lightening up on us here in California. You know, you know, beaches are open. I think tomorrow you'll be able to actually sit down on the beach.
Okay.
You know, gyms are starting to open. No jiu-jitsu, you know. But, you know, I've been doing what I can, sneaking in, doing some private lessons and whatnot, you know.
Okay.
But no fights to referee, you know, no classes to teach. It's it sucks.
Yeah. Now, have you been mainly like doing like workouts at home pretty much just since gyms are closed, or?
Well, luckily, I have a key to my gym.
Okay.
So you know, I'm respecting all the social distancing. We're wiping everything down, but me and my buddy are able to go in and just doing some weights, just lifting some weights, and you know, then I've been jogging the neighborhood with my old lady. That's kind of a workout.
Right.
Is there?
Yeah, we got you. You're cutting in and out for a minute, but we got you. But leading off into the question that I have for you, what was it like being on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter and kind of just seeing what the sport has developed into and also what the show has developed into since you were on? Do we not have him? Uh-oh.
Oh no!
Oh no!
He's completely frozen.
Cut in a little bit, maybe.
I got full bars, dude.
All right, there we go.
I got 40 here, so.
While you're here, we can hear you. We can hear you now, Chris.
Okay. All right, yeah. So the first season we didn't know what we were in for. We didn't know the effect that was going to have on culture. You know, I remember telling Dana White, you know, maybe somebody will buy me a free beer when I get back to Portland. You know, like that's like the extent of what I thought that was going to do for me. You know, obviously, it changed, you know, the UFC forever. And in a lot of ways, I think it changed American culture. I mean, now fighting is it's ESPN, it's a legitimate sport. Before that show, it wasn't. You know what I'm saying? So there's that, you know. And then, you know, as far as being on it, I kind of tell people it's kind of like basic training. It sucks. You don't want to do it, but when you're done, you're glad you did it, and it was good for your career. You know, at my age now, would I want to go back and do something like that? Absolutely not. You know, but you know, I'm glad I did it, and it's behind me.
Yeah, right.
Well, here's one for you, all for the Ultimate Fighter type question. If bare knuckle boxing ever did something like that and asked you to be a coach, would you hop on and do that?
Yeah, I mean, as a coaching figure, that would be
Coach Leben.
Coach Leben, I love it. That sounds awesome. I don't have to sleep in the house with all those dudes. Shower with 20 guys. Brilliant. I come in, I scream and yell for a couple hours. You know, stand up, sit down, do this, do that. You know, that's perfect. And hopefully make a boatload of money doing it. You know.
Hey, there you go.
Absolutely.
That's the way it has to be done, man. You gotta get Chris like you gotta get that $5 million or something like that signing bonus.
You know, I'll take it. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, but I would take it. That's for sure.
Maybe we'll put out some feelers out there, see how he feels about it. My other question for you as well, you had such a long and successful career in the UFC. Through all your fights in the UFC, what was your favorite? What was like the most, not impactful, but just like one that meant the most to you?
I mean, you know, obviously, every fight,
Cutting in and out a little bit for us, Chris. I don't know if it's on our end or
fight of your life. You know, that's something I've always thrown. I'm going to blame it on you guys. Can you hear me?
Heard that part.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we hear you.
Yo.
There we go. Yeah, we hear you. We're good now.
You guys back?
Yeah, we're good.
Back. Okay, you know, okay, yeah. So, you know, my Vanderlei Silva fight was, you know, obviously he was my hero. That was huge for me.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Martin, I was more or less already knocked out when I won, so you know that was pretty amazing. You know, I fought Aaron Simpson and Akiyama 2 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those.
Yeah, when he went on that run, that was a fun run.
That was an incredible. At the time, it was the record.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You guys there?
You're Chris.
You there?
Yep, we got you.
Okay. So, did you get that? Did you get? Okay.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
All right. So my other question for you: when you retired and then you went into Bellator for that physical, you had a abnormality with your left ventricle. Kind of like what was that? What was going through your mind, and kind of like after recovering from that, going into bare knuckle boxing, what was your mindset going into that? Like deciding to return and go into bare knuckle boxing.
Well, here's the thing, you know, I was going through a lot of stuff at the end of my UFC career,
mm-hmm.
and I was not happy with the way that I finished my career. You know, from a guy that's fought every fight to the death. You know, I finished my career on the stool, which is a pretty horrible thing.
Right.
You know, so to be able to change my life around, regain my health, you know, I wasn't able to fight for Bellator. You guys there?
Yeah, we got you.
I had a call come in. You there?
Yeah, we got you.
Are you there?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah. To be able. So after finishing my UFC career in that manner, you know, the fight, it was a 3-round war. I had a broken orbital, 36 stitches in my face, you know, and I finished all 5 rounds. So, so that was, for me, that's an accomplishment. You know, that my career, I didn't finish it on the stool. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, it's one of the things I think fans love about you. Just, you know, you're a warrior, you know, on the shield. You know, regardless if you're in the heat of battle or, and it's another thing is because you know you've also overcome so many things outside of the cage. You know, like a lot of people seeing the nonsense on Ultimate Fighter, the stuff with Koscheck and stuff like that. But also, you know, you've had demons that you've overcome. You know, with you know, we've all kind of go through that stuff. And you know, we just seen a thing with Roy Halladay here in Philadelphia. You know, did you happen to catch that? And what do you kind of relate to athletes who kind of have that go through that grind that sometimes have to kind of lean on substance abuse, probably more than likely because of the fact that you have your pro leagues testing for a lot of stuff that helps you guys for kind of to help the body and mind.
I mean, there's PEDs. That's one issue. And then there's, substance abuse.
Mm-hmm.
That's a different thing. When you're taking something, for me, I took painkillers for my thing, and they work for pain, but they also work for stress. They work for anxiety. They work for the bills I didn't pay. They worked when my old lady was being a bitch. You know what I mean? There's always a pill for that, and I think with fighters in particular, everything in excess, nothing in moderation, where a lot of us are extreme individuals.
Mm-hmm.
A normal, rational person doesn't go, yeah, I want to get in a fucking cage and risk getting the shit kicked out of me in front of my friends, family, and hopefully if I'm lucky on national TV.
Now,
Still there, Chris? Yeah, I don't know if it's on our end or his end. I'm not 100% sure. Okay, there we go.
I'm still here.
There we go. We got you.
Let me know if it's my service, but my other interviews on this particular service have not worked well either. For some reason, I don't know what it is. So,
it's all right.
So I apologize.
Oh,
you're good.
It's the beauty of technology that we have to do.
I don't think Chris can hear us.
You're breaking up on me now. Are you there?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So as fighters, I mean, we face a lot of battles, and when you're, it's a sport with young people. I mean, so a lot of us have these battles, and how you fight your way through it, man. That's going to make a big difference in where you're at when you're older. So I'm lucky now. I look at it, as everything happens for a reason. I went through all my substance abuse and everything else, so that now hopefully I can inspire, reach a helping hand out, and these younger fighters that are dealing with the same thing, and not even just younger fighters, younger people in general. Anybody that I can help, I try to help. As a matter of fact, I'm extremely active in the recovery community, and I do everything I can to help out another alcoholic or addict.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that you like to see from athletes, and not a lot of athletes do.
One more time.
It's one of the beautiful things I love about you, Chris, because there's not a lot of things that you see a lot of athletes probably go out and do and make a point to be involved in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now, another question. Obviously, you've been in the UFC. You fought, and you've been in the training room with a lot of the best. That GOAT talk's been running around, man. You've been in the room, and I think there's been a name missing from there. I think you might mention. See if you can.
Did you hear us, Chris?
Come on, Callie, catch us up.
We lost him.
I'm sure he'll call back in a second.
Yeah, he'll definitely call back. But no, for the time when it was a clean signal, no, he's a really cool guy. One of the best to ever do it. he was one of the reasons I got into the UFC. It's like a huge fan as I was when I was younger during like the golden days of the UFC.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was one of the things because he was one of those guys that just sat in the pocket and threw down. And like you look at a guy that kind of like molds half of that style that's probably a little bit more well rounded is a guy like Justin Gaethje right now.
Yeah,
you see a lot of Chris Leben in a guy like Justin.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think at least with me, as far as being a casual fan, I think it's one of those things where, and I could be completely wrong, to where I feel like there's not as many like marketable fighters, if that makes sense. I mean, like you have your big names, but
What up, guys?
There you go.
I'm back.
Back and better than ever.
Did you hear my last question, Chris?
I apologize. I really.
You're good.
Hey man, like, I get how it is. I apologize, Chris. Technology is technology.
Yeah.
I'm good.
You're still cutting in and out a little bit, Chris. Lost him again. It's all right.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens.
The beauty part of live radio and technology.
I love technology, right? Yeah.
I've been through this so many times. But we'll either reschedule, finish it back up. You know, we still have some time to talk here, anyways. But like,
yeah, exactly.
One of the questions I was just going to ask Chris, we've been throwing around that goat talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Dana White's been talking about it. We've Connor, all this stuff. Like, you see the obviously the list being thrown out. Now, Chris was a part of one of those big gyms in the early days, Team Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Is just full of guys that were former champions, soon to be champions, etc. Dan Anderson, Chael Sonnen, himself, Pat Middleton. You have all these guys
these great names. Yep.
Yeah, like so. But Dan's another guy that a lot of people don't really talk about.
Dan Henderson?
Yeah.
I love Dan Henderson.
Like, I mean, come on.
Yeah.
He's he was, Pride, lightweight, middleweight champion, UFC champion for a period. He probably should have had that belt from Bisping.
Mm-hmm.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah, exactly.
You table that argument for that fight for another day.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's one of those guys I think that don't really get named, and I just wanted to get Chris's thoughts on where he lined up in that list.
Yeah.
Especially because he has that advantage of being in the room with them, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. But again, if Chris can't connect back to us, Chris, thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, we had some technical issues on our end, or whoever's end it may be. I'm not pointing fingers. It's not anyone's fault. It's technology.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's no big deal.
14 media. Here we are.
Exactly. Here we are. But no, we'll probably reschedule another one, hopefully, with better connection on all our sides. So we'll definitely get him back.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like, or from the conversation that we did have, it was a very good conversation. So I definitely want to learn a lot more about Chris and kind of just so the fans can kind of get a bit of a gauge on Chris Leben. But speaking of Chris Leben, Steve, don't you have something?
Yeah, he just sent me a message too.
Okay, what did he say?
Yeah, he apologizes. Don't know what was up with his phone. That doesn't seem to work with the StreamYard. So
that's all right. We'll get it up another time. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Chris, if you're listening or whatever, there's no big deal.
No worries. Yeah, no worries.
We'll work it back out, make something happen. But still to the fans that are on, the YouTube, we're still gonna pick a winner for the club tonight. Don't worry about that either.
Yeah.
But let's get kind of back towards the conversation a little bit.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that, you know, it's kind of cool. We're going to see what happens. Like I said, with the bare knuckle boxing, Chris Leben is one of these guys that is, you're kind of one of these names. I want to kind of see what he thought about like some of these other names that are throwing their hat into the ring now.
Mhm.
You know, obviously you see people who are, you know, calling out Mike Tyson, this, that, and the third. You know, he's one of these guys who, you know, I think could probably end up being one of the faces that kind of help build them over the next, you know, 3 to 5 years. Who knows?
Right.
Chris wants to hang him up, but he's still someone they can have involved in some way. Like I was saying, like if they ever did something like a reality like show, like an Ultimate Fighter contender series, etc.
Right.
Moniker you want to throw at it, and have some of these guys that, you know, who are, you know, combat sport veterans, like, you know, kind of give them an opportunity.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But what were we
I think
saying?
it'd be cool.
Yeah,
mean,
I think so.
Situation, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But Steve, do you have anything else before we wrap up?
No, man. You know, we just got you know, we got some fun stuff lined up over the next few weeks.
Yep.
You know, we got what we got coming up this next week. We have you know, a former Stanley Cup champion, Flyer Great, coming on.
Yep.
You know, we got a former NFL veteran linebacker coming on. We got, you know, I know the wrestling guys. I think they have something lined up this week. I'm not sure if it's next.
Yeah.
Week.
Will that be?
You know, we got a big name lined up here for the 13th.
Yep.
You know, former world boxing champion. I'm not going to let you guys know exactly who that is quite yet. But, you know,
It's a little early.
You know, we'll have Chris back on at some point.
At some point, yeah.
Yeah, just so like obviously we'll get that going. You know, just with, you know, let's kind of keep going with this momentum that we have going. Really appreciate, you know, all the H&G fame of what's going on. You know, all my supporters from you know, back from my cage side submission days, from, you know, my MMA media days, etc. To you know, all the stuff that we've been able to put together so far. Our team guys, everything. We're rocking it out. Obviously, Philly Drinkers killing us with our merch right now.
Yep.
You know, we got some more stuff planned out for some of the fans for our Philly sports particularly and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously the guys over at Philly Drinkers are going to give us some more designs. Summertime's going around. They're going to give us some stuff to play with, hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, if you guys aren't aware, go to phillydrinkers.com. Get your A2D gear, get your A2D merch, T-shirts, hats, stickers. Yeah, if you have, what do you call it? If you want to be safe for the coronavirus, get your A2D mask right there.
Hey man, they're making me go back to work soon, so, you know, I'm only going to work with this. I'm not putting the mask on.
There you go.
If I'm going to work, listen, I put this on. I ain't putting the mask on.
There you go. That works. Still covering your face, so it works. But honestly, guys, thank you so much for coming on. Things have been crazy here at A2D with interviews and stuff like that. Things have been crazy, but we appreciate you guys coming on. We hope we can provide an outlet just kind of for you guys, just to kind of get away from all the craziness that's going on in the world right now, where we can just relax and have a conversation and just enjoy sports talk, just a regular conversation. That's all that it is. We're just having a regular conversation. But as always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel, we are brought to you by our doc, Macon Mears, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton, New Jersey locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. We're also brought to you by Ambuck Services, AMBUCK Services.com. Call Michael Ambrose, tell him A2D sent you. Get your deck restoration, gutters, gutter guards, gutter, pretty much gutter anything to get your stuff clean. Anything outside of your house. No contact. You don't have to worry about getting corona or anything like that. So tell them A2D sent you. Get yourself 20% off. AMBUCKservices.com. AMBUCK Services.com. As always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel. Got it right again.
So I guess I should say something about YouTube, right? Since I can.
Yeah, might as well. Since we're about to wrap up.
Obviously, it has to be Prism. He was the most active one, right?
We'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll definitely.
So Prism, you know, obviously you know where to find me. You can find me on social media. I don't care which platform, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
Wherever. Yeah.
Send me information. The glove's yours, my friend.
There you
Especially,
go.
what was he sitting there saying? We need an A2D Radio MMA staff charity.
Charity event. That'd be cool. It's not a bad idea.
Hey man, like I think with just as the local MMA, I think I get some stuff going. Like I said, once everything opened up, me and Jake have been talking about it off air a lot. I want to get a lot of these guys after some of these MMA shows to kind of see the live event from a different feel. You guys don't really know the energy of an MMA event, how it is. Like we talk about Philly tailgating and stuff like that. Yeah, that's pretty much the feel of an MMA event.
Okay.
So Prism, hold on. I already said it. I've told all of them. They don't want to hear it. They're going to have to deal with it. There's going to be MMA injected into their lives. Prism, hold on. I promise you, we got more coming.
We got a lot of stuff coming at A2D, so buckle up. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's really going to be a lot of fun. But as always, Jake Friel, Steve Reichel, and we'll catch you guys back on another episode of the Weekly Roundup. Later, guys.